Yo, this is the Jackal Jeff Roth, and we are drinking at Moe's.
All right, everybody, taking time out before we get this show started. I want to thank Reaper Apparel for having Drinkin' at Moe's be a brand ambassador for their clothing line. They got good stuff. They got t-shirts, they got hoodies, they got beanies, they got lots of great stuff, encouraging everybody to break out of their comfort zone, live their best self, and hey, it's something I try to live every day. Now, be sure when you go and you're filling out your order, use the code Drinkin' at Moe's, get 10% off, and the link and the code will both be in the description. Let's fucking go. All right, everybody, welcome Drinkin' at Moe's. Big Mo here. You know the drill by now. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, hit that damn bell because that YouTube algorithm is a pain in the ass. And hell, the word algorithm is a pain in the ass to try to say when you're talking fast. We are most places you can find audio podcasts too. And you know what? Today, as my foster dog tries to join in, today,
House of Blues, I'm going back to Cali.
Going back to Cali, old stomping grounds. Hello. Today I got with me the Jackal Jeff Roth. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing, brother?
Oh, I can't complain other than it being cold as hell outside right now. Like, I record in my basement, and there's this egress window right to my right here. And there must have been something open because we got a shit ton of snow recently. There's a snowdrift going halfway up the damn window.
Damn, man, that's terrible. Yeah, it was cold this morning. Then, I live in San Diego. The sun came out.
Yeah, no,
That's for
I
everybody
got
not in
spoiled.
San Diego. That's for all of you guys at home.
Yeah, I got spoiled during my time there. Like, I remember it being around this time, and I'd be in shorts and a t-shirt. I'd have people like, "Aren't you cold?" And I'm like, "Go back home with me right now. You'll find out what cold is."
Yeah, dude. I was born and raised out here. I'll never admit this, so you'll get something special here. I am such a brat, dog. Like, I was born and raised in San Diego. It's expensive. It's crazy. Everyone's leaving. Where do I go? I don't know. But you can't. Sunny almost every day of your life, so you can't be mad at that.
Yeah, I think during my entire time down there, it really only rained, and I mean like rain like when we get storms up here, like one time the entire time I was there. There'd be like little drizzles, sprinkles every once in a while, but like a full on like downpour one time.
Yeah, bro. When we get storms and downpours like that, like San Diegans remember it like the rest of the world remembers COVID. Like, we don't forget about the rainstorm of 2017. You know what I'm saying? So.
Oh yeah, yep. I all too familiar with that. Man, I want to get back there here sometime soon. But to get into this, the first thing I'd like to lead off with everybody with is what got you started as a fan, and then what made you finally decide to make that leap into the business.
So as far as a fan, I honestly, as long as I can remember, I remember pro wrestling being around. My family were, I would say, casual fans. My dad grew up in the South right at the end, so he saw like a lot of that world class and all that stuff. So, he's always throwing that. Oh, I saw the good stuff, in my face. But as long as I can remember, wrestling was always around. I remember like Razor Ramon on TV. Obviously, remember Hogan. But when I really started getting into like pro wrestling on my own as a kid was like at the end of the Attitude Era, right at the Ruthless Aggression. Um, biggest things that'll stick out of my mind is like Rey Mysterio being from San Diego, obviously.
Mm.
Rey Mysterio's huge out here. So like seeing a little guy, I'm not the biggest guy in the world either. Just kind of like, make people around the world chant your area code. You're excited for that. But just growing up watching Ray, Undertaker, the Hardys, getting into TNA, right? That too started coming out, and that's kind of really what led me into like learning about different worlds of wrestling. Ring of Honor, Japan, and that kind of style. So that was pretty much, I would say, those golden eras of like TNA and like the Ruthless Aggression is really where I started as a kid. And then as far as getting into the business, so in high school I wrestled. We didn't have the strongest wrestling program, but I wrestled for about 2 years in high school. Then getting out of high school, just I was working full time. And one thing about San Diego, a lot of people may not know this a lot, but there is either MMA gym, a Muay Thai gym, a Jiu-Jitsu gym on every corner in San Diego. So like a year after high school, I just, you do what you do after high school. You party, you put on weight. And one day I woke up and I was just like, yo, I'm fat. And I started going to a Muay Thai gym just to lose weight. One thing led to another, competed a couple times in Muay Thai. Once that was done, I just kind of had my fill of it. I started thinking about like, all right, what else do I want to do? And I think pro wrestling was always that one thing in the back of my mind. And I was just like, I might as well go for it now, and went for it. And 2.5 years later, here I am. So,
okay. Yeah. Well, I love hearing, different origin stories, I guess. And,
yeah.
The MMA, the pro wrestling MMA worlds have definitely mixed a lot from like Attitude Era into now, with like hell Junior Dos Santos having the match or two with AEW and all that. So, I mean, I can see that helping somewhat prepare you for wrestling.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a major crossover, especially now. I mean, you look at what's going on inside the business with the UFC, the WWE. On the indies, there's a lot of guys. I know I'm not the only guy with a shoot background doing this now. I think, to be real with you, most guys that do MMA, whether they admit it or not, all started as pro wrestling fans. Let's be honest about that.
I can see it because there's hell, now that I think about it, I have heard a lot of interviews where they talk about at some point being a fan of professional wrestling, and they just happen to get in the MMA first.
Oh yeah, that's I mean, it especially like when MMA blowing up the way it did, it was kind of like, for a lot of guys that were wrestlers, like collegiate wrestlers, it kind of prolonged their career. But you look at a lot of collegiate wrestlers that went into pro wrestling and did successful as well.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, you go like Lesnar, he had the, going from college to professional wrestling to MMA back to professional wrestling.
Freak athlete.
Guys like, Shelton Benjamin right along with them. And Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle's an example of that, But yeah, so there's definitely crossover. I think for any kid out there that's looking to try to become a wrestler, having any type of sport background helps out tremendously. So if you're young and you want to do this eventually, start playing some type of sport right now.
Oh yeah. I actually, going along with that, I haven't released this episode yet, but I recently did an episode with, I want to say he's down in Texas right now, originally from England, but actually went to Baylor University and played football there on the couple of teams that won the Big 12 title the couple of years.
Yeah.
He was one of the offensive linemen there during that little successful run they had. And I guess, that definitely helped him because hell, now he's in martial arts. He's doing some big things in wrestling down in Texas. So having that sport background definitely gets like, the cardio aspect of it all definitely helps because good Lord, in the now over 200 episodes, I have heard a lot about, especially those first days in training, it being like cardio hell, like just going crazy.
Yeah, you gotta. It sounds like a lot of people will talk about that, and it sounds like it's insane, and and it is insane. It is meant to test you, but you gotta have that to do this. You know what I mean? You gotta be, keyword professional.
Nope,
Professional.
definitely. And one thing I like to also ask is, everybody, when it comes to, developing that in-ring persona that they have, I mean, there's some people get it right away. Other people, it's a bit of a feeling out process, seeing what works, how to do it. How did it come about for you?
So really, for me, when it was time for me to kind of like debut and just kind of go out there was just everybody I was associated with just straight looked at me and they were just like, just be you. So I know that's kind of a weird thing to you kind of hear everybody say that, just be yourself. For me, I mean, some of it is just stuff like whether it's stuff in wrestling that's inspired me or whether it's stuff outside of wrestling that inspired me. I'm very big on watching certain wrestlers and the way they, facial emotions, the way they handle themselves, the way they think the way they think during their promos. Oops, sorry, I got a little weird. Oh, you still there? There we go.
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah, weird phone stuff, man. But so like that. I also take things from outside of pro wrestling. Really young, I got this CD for you kids out there if you don't know what that is. Friend gave it to me. It was a Dead Kennedys CD. That was my first exposure to like punk rock, and I blame that for me being such an asshole. But ever since then, I just always looked at guys that, thought for themselves, people that thought for themselves, whether it's controversially outspoken for the better or not. But that's kind of the world I came from. So really, sometimes it's just me. Sometimes, and really, I mean, like, so putting everything together as far as the Jackal, that was actually a name my old jiu-jitsu coach kind of started with. I was known just to kind of sit there and take whatever until I'd find that one little submission. So I'd scavenger that stuff, but that's the way I am in pro wrestling. I'm not the biggest guy, but you give me that moment, I'm gonna break something, I'm gonna target that body part, and I'm gonna go for it.
That right there is actually the type some of the types of in-ring personas that I actually gravitate towards. Those guys that it's like, yeah, they'll like lie in wait almost. It just like they see you slip up that one little bit, and then they just pounce, and then boom.
Those are the best guys, man. All the best guys in the world are like that. Randy Orton, Hulk Hogan did that. Dean Malenko, William Regal, all those guys, the best guys in the world. If you can just work a body part, Triple H,
Oh yeah.
It's not always about being the fastest, strongest in the world. It's about being the smartest.
Hell, and even talking about targeting body parts, somebody that I always hear about when it comes to that in wrestling, Arn Anderson, another
Yeah.
guy that he he target that one, and then it's almost like he smelled blood in the water, and like if he saw that, like, oh, it was really getting to you, he just like that much harder and loved it.
It's smart. Hey, look, listen, you take a table has four stands. You take one out, that table can't stand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love those intense personas. Like, oh, my all-time favorite, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Absolutely.
That very much intense anti-hero type. Or going back even further, going to guys like the Road Warriors or Bruiser Brody and that types that just like, oh man, I remember seeing videos of Bruiser Brody. It's just the entrance alone, swinging chains and stuff. And just,
Intense. Some of the like craziest promos. If you watch those promos today, you would
no,
be like, "That's a schizophrenic, like psychopath."
yeah,
But just, and then the scars on his head, man. That's when you could just get someone on like a physical appearance. That's intense right there. You
oh
know.
yeah, hell, and a lot of people know about the whole, the Dark Side of the Ring episodes. The one on him, all time, one of my favorite episodes they've done.
I think to me, I agree with you too, because that really like explains the whole like objective of the show, right? Where does reality and kayfabe meet and end? And that's probably the best example of that, you know.
Oh, most definitely. And now I've, talked about uh, California being where I got my start watching independent wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Like growing up, independent wrestling wasn't really known until around here until, ooh boy, I was about getting ready to graduate high school and dating myself 2002. But I hear little bits, but it would always be like a couple hours away. And now, good Lord, it's like no matter what part of the country you live in, there's something within, short drive away. Like,
Absolutely.
hell, California alone, I know there's probably a lot of other people that refer to it like this, but California is like one of the meccas of professional wrestling, especially on the independent level. There's so many quality training schools there and all the promotions.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a little hard to kind of, I would think, set yourself apart because, with the sheer amount of stuff out there, uniqueness in professional wrestling has been kind of few and far between. What's it like you trying to set yourself apart from, the sheer amount of stuff out there?
I mean, that's a good question. So, and you are right. California is, I would say, is a definite hub. And I for one, I might sound biased, but I think San Diego's the biggest slept on city in California.
Yeah, I
Uh,
would definitely agree.
every school, and I mean every school, has solid, good, young wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
Take all the promoters out of it, take everything out of it. Everyone, all the schools have solid, good guys and girls and whatever pronouns you know.
Yeah, however you want. Yeah.
I love everyone, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
So you know, San Diego, there's a lot just even in this city.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best way to set yourself up, like set yourself apart, is one, be yourself. Whatever your gimmick is, whatever, be yourself, put your heart into it. Um, you know, take advice. Don't always shun advice. I know that's, take advice from everybody. You pick or choose what you want to work with. Um, but most importantly, get out there. That's something I've been focusing on too, is as big and great as Southern California is. I've been focusing a lot the last year on trying to get outside of California in Cal, Arizona, Vegas, everywhere. Try to set yourself out like that. Like I referred to being a punk rock kid earlier, all my favorite bands were never on the radio. So the only way for them to get out there was to get out and play every little dive bar, every little crap. I mean, I've seen so many great bands in people's backyards, but that's kind of how you got to approach that mindset with wrestling. You know what I mean?
Going into that, it actually reminded me of part of my notes when I was, doing my homework for the episode. I was seeing at least one of the promotions, getting out there outside of California. Actually, was it Battleground or Battle Pro Wrestling out in Colorado? I'm a little familiar with them because I've had Gino Rivera on like a while ago, and he was on the damn poster that I saw.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think. I know. I feel bad because I'm, a little brain fart here, but I know for certain I've had a few other people that have been through their doors, over 200 episodes now. Some names right off the top of my head are escaping me, but I know I've heard of the name of the promotion.
Yeah. Definitely. They've had me out there. They have a lot of great names come out through that promotion. They're really starting to gain a lot of traction. Great people. They were real fun. Cold place. But Colorado was real cool. Great fans. Another place too, I've been hitting is like Northern California. I've been hitting Best of the West a lot. Which is, if you haven't checked out Best of the West, that's probably one of, I think, the standards in California.
I'll have to put that in the rotation.
It's a great promotion. But yeah, but going back to what you said, a lot of times setting yourself apart is just, being yourself and trying to getting much eyes on you as possible.
That actually right there, that statement is actually one thing that when doing the podcast, I'm not going to pass up a big name. I mean, I'd be stupid. But, I've had a handful. Yeah. But one thing that I've really always, wanted to do is, get eyes on people outside of their general area that they're usually at, like California, Florida, Texas, wherever, because I've watched matches on vast majority of everybody I've talked to, and I've become fans of everybody because I'm looking, there's a guy that his episode's coming out soon, but there was a clip that he posted that I told him it reminded me of the scene from Avengers where Hulk is just whipping around Loki by his leg. He literally basically did that to a guy in a match. That was the whole clip. It was, bam, and I'm like, I literally had that guy on.
Oh, I think I've seen that. Yeah.
Brick Savage.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah. Oh man. Lord, I'm getting the image of both playing in my head right now. But
yeah. Dude, I remember seeing that. That probably, I imagine that wasn't fun at all. for homeboy. I'm sure Savage was fine, but
yeah, the other guy, who knows? Yeah, no,
yeah,
that was a fun talk. But yeah, being able, for especially on the independent level, being able to get eyes on you outside of traveling, places outside of your general area. Hell, if I can even play a little part in that for anybody, having them on the podcast, I am all for it.
definitely, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate when guys like you do that. Try to put some names, put some spotlight on some new names out there, helping people out. So I appreciate that. To you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah, and speaking of some big names, there was one poster I saw you on that I don't believe this show. Oh no, I got it in my notes here. It's actually next month. This episode will probably come out after, but for Valley Wrestling Connection, having a show that there was Enzo, Brian Kendrick, and I even saw Fuego del Sol in there.
yeah, that's a huge show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those names alone and all the talent that I know is out there in California that'll possibly be there. That is going to be one to look forward to. I'm trying to remember if they are on. I know there's a SoCal Wrestling TV on the like a Roku channel. I don't know if they're on there, but I'm wanting to try to see if they're streaming for that because you know that the from the poster alone, it definitely had me intrigued.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I just saw that recently too. And that's a big show, man. And it's good to see that happening out here because I think we're at a really good time too, where a lot of the guys that have been holding it down in California for a while are going on to bigger and better shows and bigger companies, and which is awesome. And
Oh yeah,
now a lot of these guys come out here to do these big indie shows, and hopefully it leads to a lot of the younger talent and not of course myself, of course, but
yeah.
a lot of the young talent. There's a lot of really good young talent out in Southern California right now. It's ridiculous. So
Yeah, yeah. The sheer amount, because like I said, there's quality training schools all throughout the state. They're just constantly churning out great talent, coming out of graduating from those places. So yeah, California is not a place to be slept on, especially San Diego, because that place holds a special spot in my heart, almost like a second home to me.
definitely.
Now, a little bit of a connection with a past guest with Christopher Disney and the whole One Ring Circus. He was
Yeah.
one of my earlier episodes, but it's like okay, newer because I mean it's not exactly new, but newer promotions getting out there, and I've seen some pretty great stuff coming out of those guys.
Yeah, they're starting to grow. It's a great hub. I mean, this next coming up show, I'm actually wrestling Disney on Saturday.
I was
So
gonna say, I thought I saw that advertised on your page. Yeah.
yeah, I'll be wrestling him this Saturday. And I will be tapping him out. And then after I tap him out, I get a title shot at the heavyweight championship
Mm-hmm.
for Orc, whoever, depending on wins that cage match. Which
Yeah,
I
because
don't
they got
want to
they got a
sleep.
big cage.
I got to retract that. I don't want to sleep too much on Disney. He's been around for a long time. He's very sneaky. He's a smart vet. But hey, man, I like you, bud. But I got to eat too, bro.
And that isn't the only place that I've seen him and you in. There's a promotion. Like, I love learning about new places, and one that, I mean, it wasn't around when I was down there, but Rising Star Wrestling, I saw there was a backyard wrestling and Love and War coming up in February. I believe I saw Disney
Yeah.
himself advertised for that. What's it been like for you there? Because, like I said, I love learning about new places.
It's been interesting, Backyard Wrestling was a very interesting show, man. Uh, and it was just that, guys. It was a ring in a backyard, and it was a good, fun show. The crowd seemed really like it. Uh, Went to war with Eddie like I always do. Um, I maintain I won that match. They say no contest, but I don't know what does that mean. But
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, that was fun. Working with Rising Star has been really fun. It's a new concept out here. It's starting to grow. I think they've only had a handful of shows, but they've been doing very well. So, it's it's been fun. Hopefully it keeps going, keeps growing.
Hey, the more options, the more places doing great, the more opportunities people get to try to get new eyes on them.
Exactly, exactly. So,
Excuse me. Now I have two categories that I like to round stuff off with.
cool, cool.
First one's
Real
a bit
quick,
of an
one second, brother. I know we're recording. You can probably edit this out. You mind if I'm gonna charge my phone real quick while I'm talking to you? Might have
oh
to
yeah,
change.
go ahead, man. Go
Give me
ahead.
1 second, all right?
All right, everybody, we're back now. Talking about, I was going into the two categories that I like to round off the show with. First one is a bit of a name game where I name off some people, give me quick thoughts on them, and I try to theme it towards the guests as much as possible. And, with all the talk about Cali, each of these guys pretty well known in California, whether they made it onto the big stage or not. They're people I know, I'm aware of, and I'm pretty sure you are too.
Definitely. Let's go.
All right. First one, I have always said that anytime I get to hype this guy up because he's like a brother to me, that I'm going to take it. But definitely he's making up for some lost time, which I don't blame him right now. SoCal Crazy.
SoCal Crazy, man. He first off, he's been around for a very long time. He's probably, as far as San Diego goes, he's an OG for sure.
Mm-hmm.
He's done a lot. Nicest guy, very talented. I have a lot of respect. I don't talk about this much publicly, but my mom is a cancer survivor as well.
Mm.
So, to see him, to hear what he went through, and now to see him back and still doing it, um, that's very impressive. So,
Oh,
uh, yeah, he's the man. SoCal Crazy's the man.
oh yeah. He's definitely been great to me. I remember I was one of the first that he actually allowed to kind of, I guess, break the news about, that he went into remission and was cancer free. So that was a pretty cool little memory I got to have. And, a situation that I talked about a lot, but I've kind of shied away from it recently. My wife and I were pregnant with twin girls, and they ended up being born premature and only made it a week. And that cancer benefit that he had when he was like just getting back, he actually double dedicated it to my girls. And like, I did not ask him for it, but he insisted, and I'm like, oh God, he got me choked up.
That's definitely the type of man he is, and I'm sorry to hear about that, brother.
Yeah, I mean that's why I got this tattoo on my arm right here. It's actually the hand and footprint is actually under each name is actually theirs.
Mm-hmm. Man,
My brother-in-law did that. Like I
nice.
the hospital gave us the hand and footprints, and I'm like, I want it. Boom, got it done. So now
Definitely.
even more. I mean, they're always with me, but even more, getting to look down at this.
They're
They're
walking
they're
along
with
with.
me.
Yep. Yep.
All right, now another guy. I don't believe that I've been able to see this guy live in person, but I've definitely been a huge fan of his. Willie Mack.
I mean, Willie Mack is a huge name all over now. I haven't had the pleasure of crossing paths with him yet. But I mean, he's probably one of the best in SoCal as far. I mean, just everything he does, man. He's one of the bigger names. He's been holding it down for a real long time and
Mm-hmm.
still going strong. And like what he does, honestly, in ring is just amazing to
Oh,
be.
oh yeah. And for a guy that isn't, I mean, honestly, he's not a cruiserweight.
Not
He's
at
a,
all.
but the way he can move around, it like he can move around like a damn cruiserweight. Like some of the
Yeah,
stuff he's able
absolutely.
to pull off.
Yeah,
All right.
dude, he's amazing, man.
Oh yeah, totally. And now another guy that kind of in the same boat, but when I said that I gravitate towards those intense personas, this guy is definitely that. Samoa Joe.
Samoa Joe, a lot of people obviously I'm very influenced by Samoa Joe. Um, I think he's one of the most intense wrestlers of all time. But what I love about him is we talk about, let's be real, it's just that's Joe. You know what I mean? The attitude, the way he talks, the way he can go from cool to boom in a minute. Um, he's to me, he's one of the, in my opinion, as far as the big indie boom, I think he's first generation. He's one of the top stars of it. And
Oh yeah.
definitely like when I think TNA too,
Oh
one of the
yeah.
first people I think of is Joe.
Oh good
So
lord. Yeah. The like the triple threat with him, Christopher Daniels, and AJ Styles, I think is
oh
something
dude,
that everybody thinks of when they think of TNA. That's like one of the matches. It's just like it
that was TNA.
epitomizes all of it.
That was TNA.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah.
Now, last but not least, with having the conversation about San Diego, you cannot talk about San Diego and pro wrestling together without mentioning the king of the 619, Rey Mysterio.
Of course. I mean, I don't know, like, what can I say that hasn't been said, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I always joke about this so you get out there, but like, just to literally go around the country and make people go crazy and chant your area code is one of like the greatest things on the planet. And I think it's also like, well, I'm taking that really like building that up because I'm from that area code. But
Yeah.
but also too, besides that, like Ray is probably I would say, as far as Lucha Libre goes, he's really the face of bringing Lucha Libre in America the
Yeah.
way it was.
Definitely.
At least in modern, where it is in modern times. I
Yeah.
don't want to speak before any wrestling historians out there. And then obviously, as far as small guys,
Mm.
he really innovated and put it kind of out there for smaller guys to really
be in that major kind of player. I mean, like, I
Oh
think
yeah.
one of the most, I always add this too, one of his most underrated matches, him and Big Show.
Ah,
The
yeah.
dynamic between those two, like, if you're a young student of the game out there, study that.
Yeah. And hell, there was a reason during part of his run there in WCW, he was known as the Giant Killer.
Yeah. Him and Kevin Nash. That's another real good one.
Oh, good Lord. Him and, all sorts of big guys. I know there was Bam Bam Bigelow during that
Bam
run.
Bam. God, dude, there were so many big guys in WCW. But just the way he can work with them and how the stuff he would do and how
And
he
make
would
it
do it,
believable.
make it very believable. Another one, not a big guy, but it is praised a lot. But Dean Malenko, Rey Mysterio,
Ah, yeah.
like not just the Halloween Havoc ones, like watch all the ones on Nitro. Just great little matches, you know.
Oh, yeah. The
But
mix of styles, the more mat wrestling type of stuff from Dean Malenko mixed with the high flying stuff from Mysterio. Yeah. The
yeah.
contrast just mesh.
And what's crazy, he's still doing it and he's still good,
Yeah.
and he still looks great. And like how crazy, like you're still doing it actively, your son's in it actively, so
Yeah. No, most definitely. Now, I have some random questions. Some might be wrestling related, some might not be. Some might have absolutely nothing to do with anything we've talked about so far. That's why they're random.
cool.
But
Let's go.
I give you the question, first answer that pops in your head. First one is the one that I really always like to lead off with because it leads to some entertaining stories. Craziest in match moment for you?
Oh, Jesus, that's a good one. I'm very lucky. I could say I haven't had too many crazy, um, in ring, like in match moments. I would say
It can be
I
hard to
went
think of sometimes.
I actually that backyard wrestling show was a hardcore match, and you never forget going through some plywood.
Oh yeah, yeah, no.
You
I've
never forget
witnessed
that.
my fair share of hardcore matches where some crazy stuff happened. I remember going to a no ring death match show and I joke about it, but literally thank God I was wearing closed toed shoes because the connector end of the light tube, one of them flew off and hit me in the foot.
Yeah.
And oh God, I just mentioned this one a couple of times to a couple of the past people I recorded with, but Lloyd Anoa'i told me back in the original ECW, he had a match, probably multiple, but one in particular against New Jack, where they were told not to destroy like anything that's gonna like be staying in the venue. And then at one point they both proceed to both go through a wall. And then Paul Heyman ends up yelling at them after the match.
I mean, God rest his soul, but if that's the worst case that happened with New Jack around, then it's a pretty good night. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
um, I love I don't want to say I love New Jack, but like parts of me loves New Jack, but I mean, hey, that's going through a wall's probably
Yeah. Like I said,
that's a bad idea.
I love having this question in here because I end up hearing stories like that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Definitely, I
Yeah.
agree.
Now, another question that I it's hard for me to think of who I would put in here, but who would you have play you in a movie?
So I don't I don't really know who I would have me play in a movie. I mean, like, so I'll go with Tom Hardy because if you ever watch Bronson,
Mm.
I would want to be a badass like Bronson. But I'm gonna throw this out there because I know a lot of people, and when I used to bartend, and a
Mm.
lot of my personal friends. I don't see this at all, but I'm gonna throw Joseph Gordon-Levitt out there because I get that a
Okay.
lot. I don't.
Okay.
Apparently, I look like the guy.
Okay.
So, but
Yeah. You know,
I don't know.
now
One
that
of those two.
oh yeah, no, now that I'm thinking about it, if this guy can get the same look that he did in this movie, I I'd probably choose him. And I'm talking about the movie American Sniper. You know, Bradley Cooper, I think it was.
Yeah,
If he could get, like the obviously, the beard and stuff like he had
yeah.
in that movie, and I'm like, yeah,
Get a
him.
couple tattoos. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I can see that. I can see that definitely, bro.
yeah, like that movie. Good lord. Like obviously, true story. Like lots of people know about it, but I remember first time I saw that, I didn't even need to know towards the end who this guy was. I knew the situation that happened with him, but I could tell like just the way the look on the guy's face that was playing the guy that killed him. I'm like in the movie, I'm like, that's him. Like I didn't even need to know any context. He didn't have any words, but I'm like,
Yeah,
yep, that's him. Just that look on his face, it's him.
yeah. Intense, intense.
Yeah. But yeah, I love that movie. One of the few books that I've ever actually completely read, because I don't know, some books is like it takes being able to really catch my attention because there's too many times I try to read a book and then I'm like nodding off partway through, and then I'm like, where the hell was I?
Nah, I get that too. I'm having that problem with trying to find something to watch to pass time, man.
Yeah,
I got
I've,
I
I've been
watch
there.
I watch way too much true crime that like, yo, I'm gonna get a visit from some cops here soon if I don't knock it off. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're
Yeah.
gonna be like, yo, Jeff Roth is up to no good. But yeah.
Now, mention some of the stuff I have behind me here. One of my hobbies, different collections I have. I have a few of them. I got my souvenir shot glasses is one thing I like. I'm growing up. It was pro wrestling and Ninja Turtles for me. So I got my
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles stuff. I got my pro wrestling stuff. I got some autographed figures. What is a hobby you have, if any, outside of wrestling? Because I know independent wrestling, well, hell, professional wrestling in general can take up quite a bit of time.
Yes, it can. So I mean, I still on and off train martial arts. I throw it into my weekly training regiment. Right now I'm trying to doing a lot of strength training, but I'll throw in some pad work here and there. When I get time, one of my favorite things in the world is I love collecting vinyl records. I don't get to do that as much right now. Um, Listening to music on a vinyl record, for those that don't do it, so much more different, so much more better. Like, I suggest everybody try it once. So going like we only have a few left in the city. There's little hidden spots, but record stores. I love doing stuff like that. It's always kind of been an interest. I can't play music to save my life, but I can listen to it. But so like that's one of my biggest hobbies. I don't say this out a lot against the name, but I love to cook. Um, who don't love to cook and eat? You know what I'm saying? But other
I
than that, I'm a basically boring guy. So
Yeah, I nothing too exciting for me. I mean, I don't with my collection back here. Like if I'm getting some autograph, I don't like buying it like already autographed. I like the idea of taking, like, my Keith Lee figure I have signed. I like the idea of taking it up to the person and having them sign it, stuff like
Yeah.
that. Or hell, getting to go to a Comic Con and getting to meet, Ninja Turtles, getting to meet the guy that did the voice of Michelangelo from the original
Yeah.
cartoon and getting a
Oh, nice.
Funko Pop signed from him. Or the guy behind Splinter from the first two movies.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
My parents used to throw on the original two
Mm,
all three actually. Ninja Turtles, all the Jim Henson puppet ones.
yeah.
Bro, so good. Nothing against any of these other turtle movies, but yo, those were the best. If
Dude.
you don't have Vanilla Ice cameo in your movie, it ain't a
Oh,
Turtles movie, bro.
dude.
That's just real.
Yeah, no. Secret of the Ooze, all-time favorite of all of them.
Yeah. What's up, Kevin Nash? What's up?
Yeah. Hell,
Super Shredder.
One of my figures I still have in the box up there is a 30th anniversary Super Shredder from that movie.
Nice.
Someday I'm hoping to get him to meet Kevin Nash and get him to sign that one. Who knows?
That'll be cool.
Oh yeah. Now, with a name of a show like I have, I would feel weird if I didn't have this question in here. But favorite drink, whether it be alcoholic or non, or hell, one of each.
So favorite alcoholic beverage is whiskey, depending on what it's mixed with, but I love a good whiskey. Currently, like, my go-to that I drink usually at home is Buffalo Trace, if anybody wants to know. And then as far as other drinks, you know what? Nothing beats a good bottled root beer.
That's good. I know me, I'm a bit of a Dr. Pepper fiend myself.
Dr. Pepper's really good too. If you can get Dr. Pepper in a bottle, it's a lot better. Everything's better out of a bottle.
And one kind of mixing the two together, I actually stumbled on this one time when I had just grabbed a Dr. Pepper, and all of a sudden I come across one of my little shooter bottles of Jack Honey. I'm like, out of curiosity, I just dumped that in there. And I'm like, this is delicious.
I'm going to have to try that. I'm literally going to try that. Jack Honey and some Dr. Pepper. I'm going to throw that to the list.
In my opinion, it was fucking delicious.
I'm gonna have to try that out. So
I for one, I enjoyed it, so I recommend it. So last but not least here, best advice you have for anybody wanting to get into wrestling.
Best advice I would say is, number one, don't overthink it. If you're thinking about it and you want to do it, do it. Don't let anybody stop you. Don't let them tell you nothing, bro. Go do it. And have fun with Hell Week. I don't know what to tell you. but no, seriously, just go do it. Don't overthink it. Don't get defeated. Not everyone's gonna have bad days, bad weeks, bad months. I know someone, I'm not gonna put her name out there, trained for 3 years. And then and they're doing all right now. So, you know what I'm saying? It takes everybody has their own learning curve. Just get in there and do it.
Oh yeah. It kind of what you said there kind of tied into, I haven't gotten asked this recently, but I used to work with troubled kids, and they'd hear about the military and they'd ask me, ask me different advice, and I just always remember telling them kind of along the lines of what you said, making sure it's what you want to do, then going ahead and doing it, but then realizing you're going to have those times, especially in boot camp, where you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
Oh, bro. Yeah. I think that's everybody gets tested,
Mm-hmm.
whether, no matter what you go in, what field. Hey, bro, I have a friend that works in an office building, and she was just telling me about all the troubles that go in with that. Everywhere you go, it's got to happen.
Oh yeah.
Um, and you just don't over. I heard a comedian say this. Thinking is the enemy of man,
Hmm?
and that is very true. If
It,
you
it,
overthink all the time, you'll never know.
no, yeah. Sometimes you just got to go ahead and do it. Or hell, if you got a question, somebody actually on the show once told me that their one of their best advice they were ever given was the answer is always no if you don't ask.
Yep, that's true. It's a good one.
Yep.
One.
Well, before we go, where can people find you social media wise? So if they don't already have their eyes on you, they can go ahead and get them there.
So best place to find me is Jeff Roth Pro on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter as well, the Jackal Jeff Roth. Those are the two best places to come find me. You can also find me on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, Jeff Roth Pro Wrestling. And just find me there. And definitely have some stuff in the work this coming year. And hopefully you'll be seeing me in a town near you.
Definitely, we'll get all that in the description so people can, give you a follow in all those places. But thank you for taking the time to talk to me tonight. And best of luck out there with all those plans for 2024. And hell, you've already gone to Colorado, which just one state away. Maybe we can kind of start pushing you further out this way.
Hey, let's make it happen, brother. Let's make it happen. Definitely.
All
Thank you
righty.
so much for having me, man.
Thank you.